How's it going, everybody? So today I'm going to be discussing optimizations for PC. This applies to basically every PC. However, I am going to be going over some specific things for Halo Infinite. As a preface, I would like to tell you that there are a lot of video optimization videos out there, and they tell you to do a whole bunch of bullshit. Doesn't actually work. So, for example, disabling HPET, enabling Windows Game Mode, enabling hardware acceleration, enabling um, things like that, and like defragging your computer, for example, all those things will either do nothing or have a negative impact on your games and possibly on your Windows as well. So I would just recommend not doing any of those things, but I'm going to be recommending a whole bunch of tips that will actually work. So the first thing is enabling optimizations for windowed games. So this is the instructions right here. Basically, you just right click on your desktop, you go to display settings, you go to graphics, and then you're going to see something called default graphics settings. You press on that, and then you press optimization for Windows games. Now, you might be saying, okay, I don't have this option on my computer. Why is that? Well, you need to have either the most recent dev build for Windows 11 or the most recent beta build. I would recommend using the beta build because it's more stable. So you need to sign up for the Windows Insider program, and you need to actually connect your account to it, and then you need to update your Windows to the beta build. You just need to go to Windows Updates and System. You just go to Settings, you go to System, or not set, you go to Settings and you go to Windows Updates, and it should be in there, and you just press Update once you're connected and linked. Okay. So this will reduce your latency quite significantly. Basically, the reason why is because for example, like Halo Infinite and other games that are DX12, which is the type of system that they use to run games. Basically, it runs the games in Windows borderless, and Windows borderless has slightly more input delay than full screen. So this mode will basically make it so it's as if it's full screen. And the reason why borderless full screen is good is because if you have two monitors and you can go like left to right on your monitors and you don't have to tab out of your game, that's why it's a good feature. Okay, so the second thing I'm going to go over is something called HIDUSBF. Now, basically what this is it's a way to overclock your controller. Now, I know what you're thinking. You can overclock your controller? Yes, you can. Okay. So I'm going to be explaining to you how to do it. Now, here's the thing. It barely works on Xbox controllers, okay? So it's if you have an Xbox controller, it's not even worth doing. It might give you like 1%, 1 millisecond less response time, but it's not even worth bothering with. However, if you have a DualSense controller or you have a Victrix Gambit, which is what I have, its type of controller, or you have, I believe you can do it with Battle Beavers. Um, there's quite a few controllers. I'm going to be linking an Excel sheet that has a list of them. Not all of them, but it lists a good amount of them. And basically, how you do it is you download HID So you just look up HID download GitHub, download it, extract the zip file, and you're gonna get this. So basically, what you do is you uh, make sure that what you're selecting is your controller. It says host controller. So just make sure it's your controller, and you're gonna want to select this right here, the by interval. You're gonna want to press install service, and then you're gonna want to press this, put it on 500 hertz, and then press filter on device. Okay. And basically, so I'm going to do it right now for you. So you press install, you press open, and then you press 500, filter on, and then that's it. So basically, if you restart it, as you can see, it's all still here. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to increase the polling rate on your controller. All that means is basically it's in hertz, right? So it's basically how many times per second the game is checking for a controller uh, input, right? So, we're talking milliseconds here, but all these things combined in this video, it will give you a small advantage. Um, so do not go above 500, okay? Because it depends on the controller. The DualSense, I believe, can go to 1,000, but I wouldn't even recommend going to 1,000 because it can start screwing with your aim assist. And it can start, not only will it could potentially mess with your aim assist, it will potentially cause your sticks to have just they'll glitch out and like you'll start getting like skipping and stuff on your screen. So you want to avoid that. Okay. The next thing that I want to go over is an optimized Steam. Now, if you're playing Halo Infinite or just any game that is on Steam, I would highly recommend doing this. It will. It's we're talking percents here, like single digits of performance, but like I said, everything adds up, right? So what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to find your Steam shortcut. So you're gonna want to locate Steam in your computer, and you're going to want to make a shortcut for it on your desktop. So I've already have the shortcut right here, right? So I'll just make another one just to show you. So you just go to show more options, go to create shortcut, and press yes. So we have a shortcut right here, right? Now this is what you're gonna want to do. You're gonna go to properties, and as you can see, I already have the command line in here. I'm gonna post this command line uh, in my description so you can see it. But you're gonna want to replace whatever was in here already, and you're gonna want to replace it with this command line. And basically, what this does, I'm gonna show you really quick. If you double click on it, um, what it does is uh, it removes the web helpers. So typically with Steam, you're going to see a whole bunch of web helpers when you open up Steam, and these all take resources, right? So when you do what I just suggested, it um, it actually reduces the amount of CPU and RAM load on your computer. Now, the thing about it is you cannot really use it in large mode at all. It's just going to say this. That's fine. You're just going to want to run it in small mode. That's all you need. If you want to, and this is the reason why you want to make a shortcut, because you want to have like another Steam that's like your regular Steam somewhere else. That way you can load in when you want to download a game or something, you can just load into like Steam with the web helpers, and when you want to play a game, you just use this one, right? So that's basically the gist of it, right? Okay, so next thing I'll be talking about is how to optimize um, your browser and just some simple power plans. So you want to go to into Edge, and Chrome is very similar. So you just go to settings, and you should see somewhere in Chrome and in Edge specifically, you'll see system and performance. You want to disable all three. It is basically what it'll do is it'll make it so that you're using less performance. Usually when you close Microsoft Edge, it will, and Chrome as well, it will keep it in the background even when you close it. So this will prevent that. So we're going to close that. And then the next thing is very important. You want to go to Control Panel. You want to go to Hardware and Sound. You want to go to Power Options, and you want to make sure that you have ultimate performance plan on. Sometimes because I already enabled it, you have to press this usually and it'll show it to you right here, but I have it on already. So you want ultimate performance plan. This will give you slightly better performance. Okay. Next thing I'll be talking about is BIOS settings. So obviously I can't show you my BIOS because I'm screen recording, but I will just describe it to you in great detail. It should be very simplistic. If you're on a Ryzen motherboard, and just keep in mind, not all motherboards have the same setting. So if you don't have this setting, you might just not have it, but I would make sure to look thoroughly. If you're on Ryzen, you want to disable CPPC and you want to disable CPPC preferred cores. If you're on Intel, you want to disable Intel C states, disable speed step, disable speed shift, and enable hardware acceleration. Just so you know, the hardware acceleration I'm talking about is on a motherboard level. This is not the same hardware acceleration I was talking about before at the beginning of the video. Um, you want to do all those things. And you also want to do two more things. For Halo Infinite specifically, and this only applies if you're running an AMD graphics card, you want to go into your settings and you want to find resizable bar. Now you're either going to see a setting called resizable bar. It depends on if you have a new motherboard or not. This is a pretty new thing, so it's only going to be in the past like 3-4 years, I think, unless you update the BIOS. But basically, you want to go on your settings and you want to find a setting called resizable bar. If you don't see a setting called resizable bar, you either A, don't have it because your motherboard doesn't support it, or um, you need to enable something called enable 4G encoding. Now, once you enable 4G encoding, it should pop up an option below that called uh, it could be called SAM Smart Access Memory, but it's most likely called resizable bar. So just make sure to enable that, and that can give you a significant amount of performance in Halo Infinite. It can give you up to 15% performance, and for a lot of games, for Forza Horizon 5, it gives you, I believe, like 15% more performance. Or I think it's even more than that actually. It's pretty substantial. It depends on the game, but I would not recommend doing that for NVIDIA because NVIDIA's drivers for their graphics cards are not optimized at all for it, and it could end up causing you to actually lose performance. The last and final thing that's also very, very important in your BIOS is make sure to enable APC profiles for AMD motherboards, or for Intel motherboards, you want to enable XMP profiles. Now, you either going to get an option to just enable it straight up, or there's going to be a drop down bar and you will see a selection of different speeds. So whatever the rated speed is of your RAM, you need to pick that. So if you have 3600 RAM, then you need to pick 3600. So it's usually the top one, and you just want to do that and then save and exit from your BIOS after you did all those things I just said. And that's basically it. Okay. All right, how's it going? So this is the next tip that I want to give you, and this has to do with your monitor and your GPU load. Basically, the thing about this, right? And I'm going to be linking a video by Battle Nonsense about this exact topic. You do not want to have FreeSync or G-Sync on if you are playing at a frame rate above your monitor's refresh rate. Now, because the reason why is because when you go above your monitor's refresh rate in FPS, it will automatically apply VSync, which will add input delay. Now, you want VSync off in your settings regardless, but it will add another VSync on top of that if you do have FreeSync or G-Sync on in your monitor settings. Now, you want to have your GPU load below 97%, and you want to have AMD low latency mode, or if you're AMD anti-lag off when you have your GPU load below 97%, because it will give you significantly less input delay. Now, I know what you're thinking. Those things are meant to give you less um, input lag, anti-lag, in low latency mode. They do. The thing is that they only do if your GPU is at 100% load. If your GPU is not at 100% load and you just cap your frame rate to keep it below 100% load and you turn both those settings off, you'll actually get even less latency. So that's why you want to do those things. Um, that's basically it for the monitors. You will potentially get tearing. I don't even notice tearing if you have consistent frame rate. You shouldn't really get much tearing, especially when you're playing at 240 FPS. Um, that's basically it for that. And I will be linking all the videos in the description. Really just that simple. This game takes incredible single thread performance. So like, you can get it, like my computer only costs, if you bought it right now, it costs you about 700 and I get 240. But the reason for that is because I have a 12th gen CPU, and 12th gen CPUs have extremely good single thread, significantly better than the Ryzen 5000 series. Not that the Ryzen 5000 series is bad. Um, it's uh it's very good, and for 99% of games, it's basically equivalent to the i5 12400F if you got like the 5600, for example. However, for Halo Infinite specifically, you're going to want to have a 12th gen CPU. Okay, so that's what my recommendations. Now I'm going to be going into, you're going to want to save this, by the way, and you're going to want to close it, and then you're going to want to open up Halo Infinite. Okay. And I'm going to show you a few different I'm going to show you quite a few actually settings that you can put on um, that will, increase your performance, but also make your game play better. These are the most competitive settings that you can have. Sorry, the game is like super loud. Hold on, let me turn it down a little bit. Game is super duper loud. Okay. So I'm just signing in, and then I'll show you my settings. Okay, so you're gonna go to settings, and these are I'll just show you my controller settings. Most of these are just preference, but I'll just show them to you just in case you want to see them. But the main thing we're gonna want to look at is video. Field of view does affect your performance. I would recommend for competitive 90 to 105. That's like 99% of pros run something in between there. You run the resolution. Basically, it really depends like how GPU bound you are, but if you're very GPU bound, you might want to turn it down all the way. You can turn it on 80. The point is, according to like what I told you before, you want to have your GPU load below 97%. Okay, and I would highly recommend watching all the videos that I link because they go much more in depth. Um, and it's very interesting. But because of the stuff we did with the file, it should read whatever you put in there now right here. Before you can't normally change it this high unless you go into the files. You're gonna have VSync off. You're gonna have borderless full screen on. Okay. You're gonna want to have everything on low or off, except for simulation quality, animation quality, and texture quality. Now, the reason why you want all everything but these settings on these settings is because texture quality and medium allows you to see shot grenades. If you put it any lower, you can't really see shot grenades. Uh, Animation quality is important because when you're shooting at someone and they're strafing, you want to be able to see the most accurate uh, model of them, right? Because if their model's off, you might miss because your game is not showing you their proper, uh, what's actually happening, right? And simulation quality straight up just reduces desync. I know what you're thinking, like, why is this not on automatically on Ultra? Do not ask me. I have no idea. I have no idea. Async compute works especially well for AMD. You're gonna want to have this on for AMD. Um, I would highly recommend it for AMD. For NVIDIA, it's a little bit weird. I've heard some weird things about it. If you watch the GDC talk, I believe he recommends you have it off for NVIDIA. And I'm going to be linking to GDC talk. That's an extremely in-depth uh, talk from a dev on how the engine works and what you want to have for your engine. Another thing that he mentions in that video, by the way, is you do not want to have your CPU above 90%. Now, when I say above 90%, I'm not talking about your total CPU. I mean each individual core, you need to download MSI Afterburner and you need to check each individual core um, and see if any of them are above 90%. If they're above 90%, then I would recommend lowering your FPS cap because you don't want it above that. You can start getting weird issues. And that is just what the developer recommended, and I'm going to be linking that. These are some other. These are just competitive settings. I would turn all these off. I would turn speed lights off. I would put sharpening at 100. I'm just gonna go through my audio settings really quickly. These are all my audio settings. I have Spartan chatter off, stuff like that. For gameplay, I have FPS counter network statistics. That's totally optional. I have my enemy UI color on pineapple because it's easier to see. I have the outline opacity thicker so that you can see people better. I have show enemy names and the stuff so I could just see it more visual. I have to make sure to turn all of this off. This will slightly decrease your FPS potentially, and it'll just look. It just doesn't. You don't want all this visual noise on your screen when you're playing competitively. Um, you basically want your offsets. You want your offsets on this because it makes your gun or your weapon or your fists in the far right of your screen, far bottom right of your screen. That way you can see more of your screen. And then that's basically it for the settings. Um, you do want to have. I don't know why I didn't have this on max, but you do want to have this on max. Because it makes your reticle slightly thicker. Um, so I have to look into this one, but I would just leave this off for now because I have no idea what it does. But for uh, that's basically it for your optimizations for Halo Infinite. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna be mentioning is GPU overclocking. I'm gonna be giving you some YouTubers to watch on a more in-depth guide. But basically, when you're GPU overclocking, so for AMD, you're going to just want to go, what the hell? Okay, sorry about that. You need to just press Alt R, or usually it's in here. I don't know why it's not in here right now, but you could just press Alt R and it'll bring up your Radeon settings. So you're gonna want to go to Performance, and you're gonna want to go to Tuning, and you're gonna make sure all these things are clicked on. You want this clicked on, this clicked on, this clicked on, this clicked on, this clicked on. Um, and basically what you're gonna want to do is whatever your default is, you just turn it up a little bit, you know. I would start with like I already know what my settings are, but I would start increasing it by like 50 at first. And then once you do 50 once and you figure out it's stable, you run a game for a few hours. Then increase it by 10 and keep doing that until it's not stable anymore. That's basically the gist of it. You're gonna make sure you have the power limit on 100%, and I would make sure your fan, you want to adjust your fans so that it works better. Um, and you have more, it's cooling your computer down accordingly, right? So, for NVIDIA graphics cards, you're gonna want to use MSI Afterburner. So you just open MSI Afterburner after you downloaded it, and it's basically the exact same thing for the AMD cards. I am going to link in the description a couple of YouTubers I would highly recommend watching. One is Ancient Gameplays, the other one is Shogoz, I think it's called. I'm gonna give you their channel name in the description, and he'll give you a very a good guide on how to do MSI Afterburner. One of them, and then Ancient Gameplays does specifically for AMD cards. The other one's for NVIDIA. So those who I'd recommend it. And that's basically the entire video. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, share the video to all your friends that want to get better at video games. This will help you. It's not going to make you an amazing player, but it'll definitely help you quite a bit. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Have a nice day.